Quinn, I would say he just meant so much to me.
I thought he was the coolest kid on the block.
He would just give you straight up, honest advice, and you knew too that it was coming from a good place.
He was always very adventurous. He had a zest for life that was pretty contagious. He was funny as hell.
Extremely fun-loving, supportive, loyal, just truly someone you could really count on for whatever you needed.
I just knew that this was a kid I would be friends with for the rest of my life.
So this is Quinn and Perrin here.
How old were they?
Um,
Perrin was probably 17, so Quinn was probably 18, 19. Quinn's boots. A lot of miles on those boots.
We left them here.
This is when we used to go up in the summer. We'd go to Belgrade, Maine for a few weeks and stay on the lake. And one of Quinn's birthdays and all the Nantucket friends, which was really fun. That was a fun day. Quinn came into this world on November 21st, 1991. He was a great baby, very sweet. I would say growing up, you know, as a toddler and such, he was always very loving. He loved his family. He loved being at home. He loved, you know, his sister. They're very close and had so many great memories together. They had, Quinn had a lot of good friends, you know, Lauren and Riley and Morgan and Will, and they were in our house constantly. I felt like I had a lot of children, you know, rather than just two.
I think my first memory from Quinn was probably because there was like I think it was our first grade class with Miss Wayne. We made the front page of the paper and we were kind of like solving a math problem together. And I think ever since probably first grade, we remained friends, and it wasn't really like a conscious moment of like, oh, now we're friends. It was just this gradual thing that happened, and it just, you know, we just stayed friends for forever.
I mean, there's so many things that like made Quinn remarkable, and he was just so naturally gifted in so many different areas of, you know, whether it be athletics or like art or fashion, and just really just enjoyed life like nobody else. He had a hard time dealing with things that were, you know, eating him up inside, but he was always trying to make, you know, us, everybody around him, feel good and feel loved.
Just like the best friend you could ask for. Just one of those guys that it could be, you know, the middle of the night, early in the morning, middle of the day, if you had something that you really needed help with or really needed even just to talk to somebody, you know, just get something off your chest, he'd answer the phone, which is really cool and hard to come by with people.
Quinn was like an older brother. I mean, everything Quinn did, I wanted to do.
We were all back home for the holiday. We were all home for Christmas, and it was the first time that our close group of friends was together. It felt like the gang was back in town, and we were all so excited. I felt like Quinn was invincible again. I felt like Quinn was back in a really good position. So having that feeling before going away, I spent Christmas with my mom up in Vermont, and I had left like Christmas Eve. And so I was up in Vermont when I got the call from Lauren.
We had Christmas Day, and Quinn was really happy to be home. Everybody that knew Quinn knew he loved Christmas. And I went to run a few errands, not thinking anything was wrong. And then I came back, and I walked up the front steps of the porch, and I saw a couple of gifts from Lauren. And I thought, oh, Quinn must have left with Lauren and just left him on the porch, you know. But I came inside and I saw his boots, his Blundstones, and his Sperry's. And it was winter, so he would have had one or the other on. So at that point, I came around the corner and the lights on the tree weren't on. And that's the first thing he did during the holidays. I just went running up the stairs.
And, you know, I'll never forget what she said. You know, she's like, Quinn's dead. And it just sort of like, it was just like this, my mind couldn't, I heard what she said and I knew it was real, but I couldn't, like, I didn't know what to do.
Well, it was in the morning when I was called, and I went out there, and the house was full of friends of the parents, friends of Quinn, the police, and it was a highly charged, chaotic scene. People were upset, as they should be.
Yeah, when I pulled in the driveway, there was police everywhere and fire, you know, the ambulance, and I was just like, it's just not real. It just can't be real.
I just couldn't help but think that this light, this person who brought so much vibrance and energy into any interaction, I just couldn't help but think that was no longer, that it was like snuffed out.
I just sat down on the ground. I didn't believe it. It wasn't the point in the process that I expected to get a call like that.
With the work you have out here, you make a lot of money, you know, so you can maintain a habit well, you know, where you're gonna keep your habit going, you're gonna be fed, you're gonna be able to go out, you're gonna be able to hang out, buy the clothes you want. And so I think for a long time, like, he was really able to keep the appearance up of like, hey, everything's good here, you know, like I'm dressing nice, I've got friends, I've got everything that I normally have, and he's still in really good shape. So it's like, there was never that moment where I like one day looked at him and thought, whoa, like, you're skinny, or your eyes are sunken in, you look pale. There was
no, he was ripped.
Yeah, he was
very handsome, muscular, like,
yeah, his
tan, like, it was, if there were signs, they're so subtle that, like, and we were maybe just hoping for the best, that we didn't notice anything.
There is this mind picture of a drug addict. You're down and out, not somebody you want in the house. But they're our neighbors, they're our relatives, they're our friends. We have to destigmatize it so people know that there is a way out.
Our daughter, you know, she brought it to our attention on several occasions because she was really worried about him, loves him very much. And we would talk to him, and he was so, convincing that it was okay, it was under control. You know, everything was okay, Mom. It's all right. Don't worry.
I remember vividly, his sister came to me and said, you know, I'm really concerned about Quinn. And I still regret not taking that warning like I probably should have. You know, the Quinn that I knew and spent time with, I didn't have the same concern. I didn't know how to respond. You know, I had no idea what to do.
When you look back, there's those moments where you're like, okay, that behavior was different. But in the moment, you might have the feeling that something's bad is happening, but you don't want to admit it to yourself. You know, I wish that I had just known more. You know, I was young. I didn't know about anything like this.
And, you know, same as today, like, you know, we all go out and we all go drinking, you know, smoking, like we're all just, you know, just normal people. So I think it's so hard to pinpoint like a difference, like, you know, like maybe this is a little worse, like maybe he's doing a little more, like maybe, you know, like I think it was hard to like, just like they said, like pinpoint that exact time when it was like, shit, like this is not just drinking, this is not just smoking, this is not just us like having a good time all as friends, like this has become something like much darker, you know, a lot worse.
I truly believe the lowest point of despair is the loss of one's child, the preventable loss of one's child. And we feel it was preventable. Maybe it wasn't, but as parents, I think that's how we feel.
The issue is when you lose somebody like Quinn, You lose the promise of his youth and what he was going to be or what he could have been. You recognize the effects on his family. And then you have the effects on his friends. And I think this is an unappreciated or unhonored loss.
There's no playbook. There's no right way of going about it. Everyone's unique. Everyone has their own way that, you know, they need to communicate or they need support. And, you know, the stigma against it, it makes it so that no one wants to seek help, you know, because whatever judgment there is that follows, you know, coming out with whatever struggle you might have.
I had a patient in here today that all of a sudden said, well, you know, I'm a drunk and an addict. I said, well, you're sort of stigmatizing yourself. Those aren't words that you should use. You have a problem. You know, would you stigmatize yourself with a broken leg?
It's very easy. The way that Quinn got involved, it just happened so slowly. You know, it wasn't like he took a Percocet one time. And I did ask him, I said, why did, you know, what made you do that? And I said, peer pressure? And he said, maybe a little. But he said, there was a little curiosity too. And he said, when I took it, I got that relief from that voice in my head that said, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. And he said, I liked that feeling. I liked that feeling. Now, anyone that knew Quinn knew he was good enough and he was smart enough. But I think this started when he was really young.
I think if we can listen from an early standpoint or an early stage of, you know, learning of people's struggles before they come to a head where someone chooses to, you know, find a route in which to ease their pain, then that's a much better start than hitting it at at a rehab stage.
I think there's plenty of tactics that kids who are struggling can use. Getting outside, talking to people, finding a healthy outlet. They're all ways that you can combat being lonely and bored, which are two symptoms of the 6 months on Nantucket that are not during the high season.
What I would want people to learn from Quinn, you know, this type of thing can happen to anyone. It can happen to absolutely anyone at any point in your life. This isn't something that happens to young people or people struggling financially or emotionally or anything like that. This can happen to absolutely anyone. It's not something that you should hide from people. You know, like if you're feeling an urge to do something like that, you've got to talk to someone, because no one who's struggling with addiction really wants to die, I don't think.
We have to destigmatize it so people know that there is a way out. People have to have hope. If people want to get through addiction, they can. Just
know that you're loved, that you're worthy of a good life, that you deserve a good life, that there's more for you. There's so much more for you, and that everybody deserves to know that they're loved and that they're important, and that they mean something. They mean something, and I think that's the thing he would want everyone to know.
Right, their lives are important.
Yeah, they're important.
Quinn's family and friends have shared his story in hopes that it is one step in helping to break the stigma of addiction. People from all walks of life can be impacted by addiction. They need our understanding, not our judgment. Where there is help, there is hope, and we are here to help.